Innovation has always been the driving force behind evolution. The greatest civilizations have also been the most innovative. The traces left are testimony to this wealth. Innovation can be technological, industrial, or strategic, but also environmental and social. Today, new digital technologies are developing at a speed never seen before and impact all aspects of our lives. More than ever, digital technologies are crucial for developing our economy, creating new jobs, and safeguarding our societies and our values. And Europe is ready. Building a network to facilitate the sharing of digital expertise and infrastructure is the cornerstone of the European Commission's vision. Today, all European companies, public services, and associations must have easy access to Europe's digital experts, infrastructures, and ecosystems that are ready to help them succeed with their digital transformation. This is why the European Digital Innovation Hubs exist, and why the network of European Digital Innovation Hubs will contribute to shaping Europe's digital future. Welcome to Luxembourg and the first European Digital Innovation Hubs Conference. Let's gear up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. I hope lunch treated you well and that we're ready to fire on all cylinders. Just before we get started, a little bit of a recap. This morning we had our Prime Minister, Xavier Bettel, who gave us an interesting opening speech, followed by the Commissioner Breton, who gave us some very thought-provoking ideas. We had some excellent sessions about the objectives of the EDIs, as I've now come to call them. I got that from Moritz this morning, which really helps the way I present from the EDIH to an EDI, which is perfect. As we said earlier, we have over 3,000 people signed into this conference. This morning we peaked out at about 1,600 concurrent sessions. We have hundreds, literally hundreds of tweets coming through, so keep those coming. The hashtag EDIH 2021. When you're on the platform, take a visit, have a look around at the virtual booths. They should be on the up right-hand side. You might have to go through the virtual lobby. You can also see the tweets coming through there. Please ask questions. We're really interested to get your opinion and maybe find some questions that we can put to our panelists. Send them to them. It's very important to send them on the Q&A on the session. Please don't send them through the chat because we won't be able to pick them up. Really, there's so much information coming through there right now. So with that, I'm going to introduce the next session. The next session is Digitalizing SMEs the European Way. And this will be moderated by Kilian Gross, who is head of Unit A2 in DG C-Connect, responsible for artificial intelligence. Kilian, a pleasure. Over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot for this very kind introduction. I'm very pleased to be here, and it's an extremely exciting day because the topic we are discussing is very, very important for Europe and for all of us. How to digitize SMEs and how to bring the benefits of full digitization to our SMEs in the different European countries. Therefore, I'm very pleased to discuss with you and to have some distinguished guests today with me, with whom I can address several of these issues. And we heard this morning already Commissioner Breton, who set a bit the main scene and who gave the bigger picture. And then we had the Luxembourgish politicians, but we had as well already some information about the digital innovation hubs. I think now we should turn more into concrete. We should really get on working on concreter details and discuss a little bit more what can we do in Europe on cooperation and on coordination. Because there's a lot of things going on, but are these things all well coordinated and are we doing them in the best possible way to achieve efficiency and to gain trust and to steer investments? So this, I think, this idea of doing things in a certain diversity, but doing them together is really the European way. And therefore, I am very pleased to discuss this huge day with some experts from the Commission and from Luxembourg, what we can do. And then, of course, I would like to leave time for the floor to come in and to ask questions, to give your comments. So please use the chat function which was mentioned in order to bring yourself in. Myself, I'm Kilian Groß. I'm head of unit of DG Connect A2. My unit is dealing with artificial intelligence, and there an important work strand, what we are doing is the coordinated plan on artificial intelligence, where we had in 2018 more than 70 actions to support artificial intelligence, the uptake, the development and the innovation in this area. And now we are just about to revise this plan, and we want to work very closely with the regions and with the digital innovation hubs. As you know, one hub in each member state should be specialized on artificial intelligence. I now want this to discuss with three distinguished guests. First, there's Janos Schmid. Hello, Janos. Janos has stepped in very kindly for Christian Schreiber, who couldn't make it in the last minute. But Janos is an expert in DG Grow in Unit H2, dealing with internationalization of SMEs. And he works in particular on the design and the delivery of innovation support programs for SMEs. So he's actively engaged in the cooperation between the EEN network and the digital innovation hubs, so the European Enterprise Network and the digital innovation hubs. Second, we have Denisa Perrin, who stepped in for Peter Berkowitz and who works in DG Regio. We're very pleased that you're here. You're a team leader responsible for smart and sustainable growth in the Directorate General for Regional and Urban Policy, and your unit is dealing in particular with smart specialization and regional investment in the digital economy, the environment, transport, climate change, and just transition. So you're just the right person at the right place, I think, in order to give us some insights. And last but not least, we have with us Benjamin Questier, who is a strategic advisor and the head of the European R&D department in Lux Innovation, the National Innovation Agency. And I think that's very good. So we have the European side, the two lead DGs here, DG Regio and DG Grow, and the national side from a member state, from our co-hosts today, here together, and we can exchange, and I hope that we will have a very lively discussion. So I would like to kick off by asking Janos, perhaps can you present us a little bit the SME strategy in a couple of minutes to bring us all up to speed? That would be great, Janos. Thanks. The floor is yours.
And I hope you can hear me. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a very special honor to be here, virtually at least, with you, and to highlight some introductory remarks in relation to the SME challenges on their digitalization journey. As you know, our 23 million SMEs, they do not only constitute 99% of our enterprises, they are indeed the lifeblood of our economic fabric. They are practically involved in every regional, national, and global value chains. They put innovative products and solutions onto the market. So, of course, when it comes to digitalization and to their digital maturity, the picture gets a bit blurry. What we see in our data is that so far only in less than 1 in 5 SMEs have integrated digital technologies into their business models. Around 1 in 10 SMEs analyze big data. So we are truly convinced that there is room for improvement. There is room for concerted actions, because of course European level, as you already Kilian mentioned also in your introductory words, that is one level for initiating actions, but of course that must go hand in hand with national and regional initiatives. That is why I'm also happy that Denisa is here to give her thoughts as well. As you know, the SME strategy is our EU Commission-wide and EU-wide response to the major challenges of SMEs. The SME strategy as such was adopted around 1 year ago, and this is our vehicle to offer European-level responses to the challenges of our SMEs on their digital and sustainable transition. And of course, in response to the COVID crisis, this is also our response to build up a much more resilient economy in the long run. I would like to highlight also at this place that, of course, the SME strategy is an EU-wide document, but it is not a purely DG Grow document. It has been truly co-created and co-designed also with our colleagues in DG Connect. And most of the measures in support of the digitalization of SMEs in this strategy are under the auspices of our colleagues in DG Connect, with whom we really share common visions, We not only shared our commissioner, who always have pledged for breaking down the silos and working together, but I can tell you, we already set, in my point of view, the right course, the right first steps. And then on this place, I would like to highlight for you 4 measures that are enshrined in this SME strategy, and they are all there to help SMEs on their digitalization journey. First of all, data. We know that data is the new oil for the new economy. And as I just mentioned to you, 1 in 10 SMEs analyze big data. And in order to facilitate big data analysis in future, we see that there is a need for common European data spaces, as already also put forward in the European Strategy for Data. This particular objective, creation and establishment of European common data spaces, has been also enshrined in our SME strategy. Secondly, we know very well that we have vibrant startup cultures from Lisbon to Budapest, everywhere in Europe. But very often what we see is that these startups are in badly need of new fresh capital, but investors are very often uncertain about the market potential of new technologies, new solutions. We know that at certain regional, national level, tech due diligence services are already available, but they are not available throughout the whole EU. That is why we put forward EU-supported tech due diligence center that should really help investors in their decision making. Thirdly, we know that, of course, traditional businesses are very often at the very beginning of their digital transition. Therefore, we know that they need capacity building. To help on this front, in the SME strategy, we put forward 2 different actions. One is about digital crash courses to SME staff members, and the second one is a digital volunteer program allowing young, experienced people and also more senior experienced colleagues to share their digital competence with traditional businesses. And last but not least, of course, we have the European Digital Innovation Hubs, this future network, where we truly believe we have a lot of synergy potentials with our network that we manage in cooperation with our Agency for Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises with EASME. This is the Enterprise Europe Network that was already mentioned also in the preliminary words. And I am really happy to announce that we already teamed up with the future EDIH and also with the cluster organizations, and we will establish a common European platform or a common working group to plan joint actions for our actors at regional, national level. Of course, if you look at the EEN, we have the same regional approach. We are present in every European region. At the same time, the EEN advisors are in daily intent contacts with SMEs. So the EEN members should be, of course, just a natural ally to enhance the SME outreach of the future European Digital Innovation Hubs. Beyond that, the EEN members already enhanced innovation management capacity of SMEs, also focusing on digitalization. I can easily imagine that, for instance, in future, in medium long term, the EEN teams jointly with the EDIH team can team up to do common joint digital assessments for SMEs. And as you probably are aware of the fact, B2B, the matchmaking different formats are actually the DNA of the EEN. And this matchmaking format, of course, will also go through an evolution under the new network, not only bringing businesses together with businesses, but also businesses when whatever their needs will be. So whenever a business will need to have service and access to a service of an advanced technology center or of a European Digital Innovation Hub, we are ready to do that. We have piloted that kind of matchmaking formats in different settings in Horizon 2020 projects or in Interact project. So we are ready to do and go down this line. So let me finish also and wrap up on this positive note. I think we have everything in Europe what is necessary for our success. We have excellent research infrastructures, research and technology infrastructures. We have highly qualified researchers. We have excellent and experienced ecosystem actors in place. We just need to make everything sure that everything is moving into the same direction. I think at our level, we already set the right course. We made the first steps into the right direction. Of course, in the future, many more steps will have to come, but I think we mark today only the very beginning. In that positive spirit, I would like to thank you, and I would like to also wish you a great event today and tomorrow, and lively exchanges. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Janos. I think it was a very good and a very comprehensive overview about the different activities and how they work together. I would like now to hand over to Denisa, and perhaps you could highlight the role of the regional digitization strategies and what significance then the European Digital Innovation Hubs, once they are now set up in this year, will have in the cooperation between the regions. But I would be grateful if you could indicate some elements there. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for the floor. Ladies, thank you for the floor. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Many thanks for inviting cohesion policy part of European Commission also on board, because I think it's important that the Commission here takes the opportunity and we speak with one voice what can be done in member states and regions, how to put together all the funding streams in order to make the digital transition happen, because it's not without consequence. Or also our president of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, last year in her speech, in her State of the Union speech, mentioned that the upcoming years will be the digital decade. So I think we all need to join our forces and to make this happen. I will here try to take the opportunity, and I'm happy that we have the opportunity to explain a bit how cohesion policy can contribute and how we can work together. I will just perhaps take a bit a step back, because cohesion policy is a bit different instrument at the level of European Union. The majority of you know it as an instrument to help to achieve convergence, and this is exactly what is already anchored in the treaty, is that we are really looking at the convergence. But we are looking at the convergence in terms of course, transforming cohesion policy into a modern, agile policy that is place-based. May I get the next slide, please? Thank you. Exactly, and this is something that is reflected in the now post-2020 design of the cohesion policy and its objectives. I had dynamic slides, so I think that we are losing a bit part of the images. Doesn't matter, but what we have is actually, when we are thinking how to adapt cohesion policy for the future needs, there's always something that we bear in mind, is to be place-based, because we must do different actions in different places, because different places have different capabilities, different needs, and different resources, but also different strengths. I represent here actually the part that is related to what you have here, the first policy objective, which is Smart to Europe. We also have other policy objectives, but digitalization and what you're interested in is exactly nested under the first policy objective. And why do we call it Smart to Europe? The objective of these investments under this policy objective is really to promote and trigger smart and economic transformation. So what member states and regions, when they come up with their programs, they need to design their intervention logic in a way to prove that their investment contains an innovative element and contributes to smart economic transformation. Because what here we are striving for is really to set up the grounds for innovation-led economic development, and this is based on smart specialization strategies. I will come back to that. And of course, this is digitalization, but a specific focus on the digitalization of SMEs, of enterprises. So here we link very much to digital innovation hubs. This is key here, because we are really looking at the more in the private part. Of course, we don't exclude investments in the public sector, because public sector is also a key driver of innovation and of digital transition. But what we want to do is not just deployment and not at all deployment of existing solutions, but really to be a provider of new innovative solutions, of new services that are new to businesses, for businesses and for. So here really in the first policy objective, the Smart to Europe, this is the innovative element, and we understand innovation in broad sense. If you look at the Oslo manual, it's the broader part of innovation. What is, you know, it's not in-house R&I. This is something which is different because and we need to do different also innovation actions, even digitalization in different parts of Europe. We can't do the same innovation policy in areas that are very strong innovators, whereas in different regions where they are a bit, they are in less developed regions where they are lagging behind in terms of their innovation performance and productivity growth. We need to do different things. We need to focus more on capacity building, on working on strengthening innovation ecosystems. We also do digitalization in a different manner, because we don't have the same needs and same structure of SMEs.
Okay. If Denisa is finished, then I would turn now to Benjamin Questier from Lux Innovation and ask you a little bit about, I understand that you could represent to us the ideas from the Luxembourgish side. What are you concretely doing from the receiving side in that perspective? How to bring this to the regions, and how are you setting up this network for innovation? Perhaps, and I understand you have a couple of short slides. If you can take us through them so that we have a better idea how Luxembourg implements these policies. Thanks a lot, Benjamin.
Thank you very much, Kilian, and thank you to the colleagues from the European Commission, Janos and Denisa, for presenting these different strategies. Here in Luxembourg, as a smaller country at the heart of Europe, we look upward to these different strategies, and we also try to find the most adequate manner to implement them on national level, with, for the interest, of course, the SMEs and the companies we want to help. So I'll quickly take you through our national strategy, and you see how we provide services to our companies and SMEs. So the acceleration of the digital economy, is at the core of the Luxembourg strategy for competitive economy across all the key industrial sectors. We are aiming for similar priorities as with our smart specialization and regional strategies. So we are talking about the industry sector, Industry 4.0, clean tech, health tech industry. And we are also talking about similar incentives like the RDI instruments, the performance programs, or clustering supports. So what is very interesting is that we use the smart specialization, but we also use the national strategy, but to obtain even more goals or further objectives. And here, of course, we're talking about digitalization in a sustainable manner. The data-driven innovation strategy in our country is based on three major pillars. The first one is the building up and assuring a digital infrastructure capacity. The second one is ensuring regulatory and intellectual property investments and a financing environment. And the third one, which is maybe most important today, is experimenting, innovating, and uptake of advanced technologies into the industry. I have extended a little bit with some examples. So what we're talking about, for example, in the first pillar is typically the investment by our government and our state in a high-performance computer together with the European Commission. It's also talking about connectivity and the quality of the connectivity. It's the cybersecurity network and ongoing further work on data exchange platforms. As for the funding environment and the legal environment, we're talking about developing a legal environment that's adapted to the data economy. Regarding financing, we're talking about RDI tools and the National Research Fund, which is also funding academic research. And most important maybe today is how do we assure the uptake of these technologies by our companies, by our stakeholders, by public affairs. And this is, for example, the Digital Innovation Hub. It's also, for what we are working on, is the HPC Competence Center. So, of course, the first pillar, which is the infrastructure, is not the most oriented towards the SMEs. It's the constant investment of our government in high-quality infrastructure. As it has been reminded by our Prime Minister this morning, this has been key even for us during these difficult times and crisis, and is essential. An important point about infrastructure is that we always tend to develop the infrastructure as much as possible and taking into account the needs of the companies. And that's why, for example, the HPC is being considered a lot about SME applications, the usage of the high-performance computer by industry, by companies, and not totally oriented towards academic research. With regard to the regulatory and financing environment, I have put some highlights on the slides. We have dedicated performance contracts, more oriented towards SMEs, with maybe more first request needs or urgent support measures available, but we have also more funding RDI projects where we have a more bottom-up approach. Usually no deadlines are applying, but we also have public-private partnership incentives, and there are Horizon 2020 and from a few weeks now on, Horizon Europe calls. A point that I would like to address is there is a multitude of tools and origins and coming from different strategies, but we try to put them all together so that for the SME or the customer, it's a seamless origin, an easy origin. And then, which is very important, is the experimenting, is the integration of the advanced technologies in order to support the SME digitization. We have heard by the colleagues just before about the Europe Enterprise Network. Lux Innovation is a partner with the Chamber of Commerce in the EEN activity. So for us, to orient the customer or to use and benefits from the EEN network on European level is essential. We have a team dedicated to startup support where we seek also on European strategies. We are working with clusters, and our clusters are focusing on our priority sectors identified in the regional strategy priorities. And these cluster managers build on roadmaps for individual companies, but work also on transsectoral priorities or bottlenecks that are appearing. An important point for today is, of course, the Digital Innovation Hub. And here we have organized our Digital Innovation Hub with a set of core partners. So we have Lux Innovation, who is hosting and managing the EDIH, but we also have the FIDIL, the Federation of Industries. We have the Chamber of Commerce, where all companies are member here in Luxembourg. We have the university. We have the LIST, which is our RTO, oriented towards science and innovation, and we also have the National Research Fund. And we believe that with these different actors, we cover the most essential services towards digitalizations for the SMEs. So just my final slide, and in the spirit of the discussion of today, is that as an innovation agency, our role is, of course, to learn and to be aware about all the national and European strategies, but we have to make them operational for our companies. We must be a customer-centric organization, and we must provide solutions and not text and orientations. And that's why it's very important for us to synchronize in the background. We need to synchronize with the different origins of the philosophies or the strategies. We also need to synchronize between the different organizations who are involved on national level and on European level. And it's the strengths of the various networks and strategies that are part of our services for our companies. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Benjamin. That was very, very interesting. I now would like to have a quick look at the chat. Are there burning questions? I think Sebastian and Matthias, you're following this. Can you tell me? Otherwise, I would have some questions.
Hi, Stefan here, Lux Innovation. From the chat, we have two questions which are basically related to the EIT kicks and also the extension and the role of the EIC in connecting with the EDIH. This is the first one that we can tackle, maybe.
Okay, so the second one would go then to Benjamin, and the first one, perhaps Janos, you can come in on this. Perhaps you can repeat.
Yes, it's the connection between the EDIH, the EIT, and also the EIC, the European Innovation Council.
Okay, I can give it the first set of answers. So So at Lux Innovation, we are following these different programs. Of course, we are hosting the Digital Innovation Hub, and we're also following the activities of the EITs and the EIC under the Horizon Europe program. So what we tend to do, to give a very concrete example, is that depending on the needs of the people who are coming to us for an SME or a larger industry, depending on its digital maturity or its needs, we will orient them to the most adequate program that can help them. If it's in the EIT, expanding its network, if it's in the EIC for a smaller company with a breakthrough innovation that they want to put on the market. And then we help them with experts available on national level to support them to submit applications to the different programs.
I think that's already very clear, because these programs have obviously very different profiles in the European Innovation Council and the European Innovation Institute for Technology. This is different. And I think it's very good if you have one contact point to help the SMEs to find their way through. Then on this basis, perhaps I would ask a question, a bit of a provocative question to Janos. SMEs are a very differentiated constituency, because you have fast ones, slow ones, bigger ones, smaller ones. Whom shall we really look at when we do these digitization programs? Should we look at what we call leaders, or should we more help the followers? Or should we all try to bring them on the same level? Or should we focus, if we have limited means, on those who are already very agile and who are already addressing the digital challenges? What do you think, Janos?
I will come back to that in a minute. But coming back to the EIC and the KICs, they are, of course, important, let's say, actors. But the EIC, as such, as you know, that with the you will have the accelerator and the pathfinder. Of course, digitalization take up as such will not be there at the heart. Of course, the EIC will look for disruptive new innovators. Of course, down the TRL like 5, 6. Of course, if there are interesting innovative projects, they might qualify, especially also for interesting blended finance funding. So, but that really must complete what you offer also at national level. And for that particular reason, of course, the colleagues in RTT, they work on a dedicated plug-in fast-track system from national schemes to the EIC. I don't know if the Luxembourgish national schemes have also already been, let's say, certified to be eligible for this plug-in system, but that is a very interesting way forward to also to make the Luxembourgish SMEs or every national SMEs also benefit from the broader horizon support. The EIT KICs, that's a different, of course, they are important actors and they get even a bit more exposure now with Horizon Europe. But we have to be also quite clear on that. The EIT KICs not only exclusively work together with SMEs. If you look at the clientele of the EIT KICs, very often we find big names. So of course we have to cooperate with them. We have to look into their very interesting educational aspects, their acceleration programs. So they are equal partners in the whole ecosystem. So this is just to finish the first part. The second part, we have always been very clear on this question, Kilian. In the SME strategy, we already stated at the very beginning of the document that, of course, we have a very diverse SME landscape, but nobody should be left behind. So in my point of view, we of course, have to devise and design correct support instruments and mechanisms that are best fit for each different, let's say, high flyers, but also we have to have also some measures in place that are best fit for the novice, for the beginners. And yeah, that's definitely a challenge. In my point of view, there is no silver bullet solution that is valid for every kind of SME, because of course the SME landscape is very diverse. But I am truly convinced that we have different schemes available. We just have to really identify the challenges of the SMEs in relation to digitalization and to find the best possible support to cater for that very specific challenge that we will identify.
Great, Janos. That was very clear, and thanks for the additional explanation, because I guess for our audience it's very interesting to distinguish clearly the different instruments. And that is may not always be an easy task for especially for those who are not dealing every day with the Commission. I would then like to turn back to Denisa. Denisa, because we spoke now about a number of instruments, but we didn't really speak about cohesion programs. What could cohesion programs do in order to help SMEs lagging behind in certain regions?
Absolutely. Sorry for being cut off a while ago. There are construction works in our street, and they're changing the grid. Sometimes you have these micro cuts of electricity, cuts of Wi-Fi. Absolutely sorry for that. I would like to come back exactly to cohesion policy and what cohesion policy can do for SMEs. And I will also come back to the question you had about different policy instruments, because we closely work together, because we understand that it's important. The synergies are important in order to maximize, synergy instruments, because this is one of the ways how to maximize the effect on the ground and impact on the ground. And in terms of cohesion, before I got cut off, I mentioned the policy objective 1. And in the policy objective 1, actually it's divided into several specific objectives. And there is one dedicated to digitalization. Mainly to digitalization of SMEs, to the way how they are involved also in digital innovation hubs. We can even support partially some parts of digital innovation hubs. We would really like to induce the process of digitalization of SMEs in order to make them more competitive. I don't even think, of course, we don't have one size fit all. We have different types of functions in different regions. And to make it's not the DG region that tells member states to how define the policy objective in terms and in terms of policy lines, in terms of legal provisions. But then within the shared management, it's up to the member states and region to design their own strategies and to design their measures that they include in their programs, operational programs. Because of course, if we want to be regional policy, the policy needs to happen in the places, in different places. So contrary to what Janos mentioned, or to what you know from Digital Europe program, we work in shared management mode. So this is member states are them who select different projects and who design the different projects. But what we, in terms of policy lines, what we discuss with them, it's really to look at, for instance, the structure of their SMEs. If they have, for instance, all SMEs, old in terms of demography of SMEs with traditional manufacturing, they may have difficulties to grasp the advantages of digital transition, of digitalization. So it's really to be there to help these SMEs to be able to innovate, to transform their production processes, to transform their business models into digital, and to offer different digital services. Of course, different measures we would do for startups and scale-ups in let's say 3D printing. So we have different things in different areas, but cohesion policy has digitalization at its core. It's built on innovation ecosystems and on the governance of innovation ecosystems, and this governance of innovation ecosystem is done via smart specialization strategy. For those who are not familiar with the concept, it's something which is it's kind of a dynamic tool. It's not a paper strategy. It's a dynamic tool bringing together the quadruple helix that selects priorities in different areas. It means that building on the capabilities and the resources of each region and their innovation ecosystem through the quadruple helix. Actually, we create something which we call the smart specialization strategy. It's really about prioritization and focusing on areas where we can make the difference. So this is really this needs to be closely linked to the smart specialization strategy. Just jumping and linking on the discussion you had, for instance, about the EIT, the KICS, and the EIC. Actually, we work extremely extremely closely with colleagues either from Digital Europe program and also from Horizon Europe to really bring the policies close together in order to increase impact on the ground. And for instance, with the European Innovation Council, it's very important because they for the projects where they don't have enough financing, they issue something that is called Seals of Excellence. And for us, the Seals of Excellence are a very valuable source of major project pipeline or quality project pipeline. And provided that these projects fit into the objectives of our policy, we are happy to take over this project pipeline, this quality project pipeline. As concerned, for instance, the KICs, it depends on the KICs, but in certain countries, they really, the collaboration is at the level of innovation ecosystems and actors of innovation ecosystems, and it's very important also. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. That was very interesting. May I have a last look at the chat because we're running out of time, but is there a burning question which we absolutely need to ask before we go to the closing round?
Yes, Kylian, we have two other questions. Let's go for, yes, this one. Which approach would you suggest to enable digitalization to all SMEs or to push for state-of-the-art competences of the single DIH?
I would like to start to answer that. Is that possible?
Yes, but please short because we have time for closing.
So, here in Luxembourg, we don't want to exclude anyone from the digitalization. So it's according to the maturity of the company, about the different sizes of company, and that we will help everyone. Of course, our national DIH, the Luxembourg DIH, has a focus on HPC technology and in Industry 4.0. But that doesn't mean that a company who has some needs that we can help to identify and that we can help to motivate, that we orient them to the best service provider. And in that sense, we believe that we should be able to help everyone. And if the technology gets too complex or is based on elements that we don't consider as being available here or that we don't have the expertise for, then I believe we have all the added value of the EDIH, which is the topic of today. So that means that we could reach out to the competences of other DIHs to help our companies.
Thanks a lot, Benjamin. Very clear and very short, so very much appreciated. Perhaps I would then give everybody the floor for a last 1 minute statement, and I would like to know from each of you what would be your key expectation, if you have one expectation, for the new European Digital Innovation Hubs? Janos, perhaps you can kick off.
Well, my expectation is that the future members of the EDIH network will play a pivotal role in supporting SMEs on their digitalization journey. Of course, also on their own, but most prominently also in concerted actions with other ecosystem actors so that we really create a real digital support ecosystem in Europe.
Excellent. I can only subscribe. Denisa, what would be your expectation?
I'm very much on the same line as Janos is. And what we know from practice is that actually SMEs, they don't know what they don't know. So sometimes that it very happens that they are reluctant to digitalize because they don't know what they shall digitalize. Is it their processes? Is it operational transaction? What shall they do? I think the role also of digital hubs is really to accompany in the digitalization journey, to help them to understand where their strengths, weaknesses are, and how to fix it.
Thanks, excellent. And Benjamin, last but not least, from the Luxembourgish side, what would be your expectation, your hope?
Our hope would be, of course, to offer the best services to our industries and companies in our country so that they see the benefits of these European digital innovation hubs and that they see that we can pull resources on national and European level to deliver what they need for their digitalization.
Thanks a lot. And thanks a lot to all my three panelists. I think we got a nice and interesting overview about the different instruments which we have, about the different perspectives from the regional policy, from the policy of support for SMEs, from DG Grow, and as well from the Luxembourgish side. So thanks to all of you. Thanks a lot to the audience for the very interesting questions and the active debate. Unfortunately, there was not enough time to take up all your questions, but I hope some we could have taken up, and I understand the chat is still going on, so my panelists might even continue to give you some answers there. I see from the program that now you have 15 minutes to relax and to recover, to read your emails or to have a coffee, whatever you prefer. And then it will start again at 3 o'clock with providing a seamless service between European Digital Innovation Hubs, EEN, the European Enterprise Network, and Startup Europe. And then the program continues at 16 o'clock or 4 o'clock towards cross-border digital innovation hubs. From my side, I enjoyed very much the discussion. I wish you a great event, and I hope you enjoy as well the following sequences of this conference. Thanks a lot for this moment. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Julian. I think one of the important things that was said in there was SMEs don't know what they don't know. And that was something we found very much during the digitalization journeys during the COVID lockdown last year. I'm talking quietly because I have a bit of a surprise for you. Let's see, if I show you this, maybe this will give you an idea of where I am. Managing innovation, open innovation. I am actually in the library. Now, this is normally closed at the moment. It's only open for students. But this used to be where they used to sort the iron ore before it went into the blast furnace. I hope you can hear me. I'm talking quietly because people are studying. Then it would go through these trays to the next building and then into the blast furnace. So I found books on open innovation, right? There are 10.7 kilometers, linear kilometers of books in this place. It's over 5 floors. There's place for 1,000 students. And look how beautiful it is. Look how beautiful it is. If I get cut off for some reason, because this place is like a huge Faraday cage, then the next session is going to be at 3 o'clock on cybersecurity. I'm just paying attention not to film any of the students as I come through. I'm just going to go down here just to give you a feel of this place. It's absolutely wonderful. What a place to study. You can see here, computing, engineering, medicine, mathematics, physics. And this here is still a piece of the machinery from the Arcelor, or Arbed rather, center that used to crush the iron ore. So this part of Luxembourg is called Les Terres Rouges. It's called the Terres Rouges because that means red ground. And red ground is because it's rich in iron ore. So all of that would come here, get crushed, go next door into the furnace. And then from there, on the 30th of April, 1953, Jean Monnet, who was one of the founding fathers of the EU, obviously, he tapped out the first ingot for the EU open markets. That actually happened here, well, just next door to this building. Okay, that was just a little bit of a bonus for the day, a trip around the Luxembourg University Library. What a beautiful place. Okay, I'll see you back at 3 o'clock, and we're going to be talking about cybersecurity with Pascal Station. I'll see you shortly.